I think we have got some. Look, we've got some green.
Hello, people of That Beautiful Life podcast. This is Roddy Bergström talking from Stockholm, all the way from the beautiful Stockholm, Sweden. It's episode 188, and you are very much welcome. And as always, I'm not by myself. We are never alone, at least not here in the podcast. So, with that said, very much welcome to you, Q. You, Q. Oh, that was new. Oh. How are you, my friend? On a Thursday morning.
Bro, I'm just happy to be home, to be honest.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. It's good stuff when you get home and get to see your family again and your missus and all that beautiful stuff.
Yo, being away from home is a chore. Like, I think the thing is I look forward to like when I get a little bit of time away just to like you just don't have to do the regular 9 to 5 day-to-day stuff. You don't have any responsibilities. Sure. You can just kick back and relax, that kind of stuff. So I do generally tend to look forward to that kind of stuff, just thing. But at the same time, I miss home. I miss my family. And I think I remember my brother mentioning this to me before. It's like it's nice to stay by someone else every now and then, or be away from your home, that kind of stuff. Nothing beats being in your own house though. Like when you're in your own house, you know where everything is. You know how you keep your stuff. You know how you do your things the way you do your things. Look, nothing comes close. Absolutely nothing comes close to that. Like it is a separate experience having.
It is true. It is true. I agree with you. And I think that's also why it is good to, once in a while at least, be away.
Yeah.
Because also you, as you mentioned, you appreciate what you have even more.
Yes.
And I can definitely relate to that. I remember, as I was doing before when I was touring and I was away and coming home, especially sometimes if it's been quite tiring and like being tired and maybe a long trip or something like that, and just getting inside the door, close it, and then just I'm home.
That's it.
That's that breath you take, and it's like I'm home. It's good.
Feels so good. It honestly feels so, especially like if you've been traveling or you've been away and you haven't been able to like have a proper shower or something. Like if you're away on a work trip or some kind of trip where you're not in an environment where you can take care of yourself the same way you can do at home, It just, when you get back in, it is just, there's nothing like it. I got in yesterday and I walked up to the door and I knocked on it, and I can see Tile like on the opposite side of the door, like his silhouette, and he was like, "Daddy's back!" And he's just like there, and he ran to get the keys and he opened the door for me, and I just came in, and he was playing a game in the living room. I think he was on the PlayStation. And but it was just nice. It's just nice being back, seeing my family. I was in the kitchen cooking something, and I just got in, and she was like, "Oh, you need a shower." I was like, "Yeah, I need a shower." Like I was just like,
yes.
So, better explanation as to what happened, what this is all about. I went to Liverpool, which you guys know. Every now and then I go to Liverpool. I've got family in Liverpool that I go to visit, and usually it's just for a weekend. Like I just go up like on a Friday and I come back on Sunday. That's usually how a Liverpool trip tends to be for me. What's going on, Nalu? Welcome to the podcast.
Yes,
but the thing is that this weekend that was not the case. I did not go to Liverpool and then come back on the weekend. So my plan was the original plan as per usual: leave home, get to Liverpool, come back by Wednesday. Right? Not Wednesday. Sorry, come back by Sunday afternoon. Right? Or leave Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon or whatever have you. So I was just going to have 2 days chill in Liverpool. I think I went up on the Thursday, to be honest. Like I think I left Thursday afternoon And so I think I dropped off Ty in the morning and left Thursday afternoon to got a train to Liverpool. Right. And I just want to say, I ran into an old acquaintance of mine, a mate that I became friends with in Germany. So shout out to Andy if you ever listen to this, buddy. But yeah, I ran into him on the train, and we basically stood on the train together. Like I got into the train,
Okay.
and he was sitting at first, and then he stood up, right? And Andy's the kind of person, he has bright colored hair, right? So his hair is just bright red. Now, previously when I first met Andy, Andy had green hair, but it was just this thing, the way he keeps his hair, the way the hair looks, I was like, that's Andy's style, right? Everyone has their style, that's Andy's style. But the thing is, when I saw him on the train, he looked directly at me, so I got on the train. He's getting up from his seat, I think for an elderly person to take the seat, and he's staring at me, and I'm staring at him for like a moment, but he doesn't say anything. He doesn't even gesture, or he doesn't show any expression as if he recognized me. So,
Okay.
when someone does that, you sort of think to yourself, is it really the same person? Maybe it's just someone who coincidentally looks like him.
True.
And then I walked up to where he was, and then I couldn't go any further in the train. So essentially, like I walked past him, but ended up back to back with him, essentially, because the train was packed.
Yeah, okay.
And then we were just standing back to back for a bit. I'm on my phone listening to a podcast. He's on his phone doing whatever. And then the train stops at one point for people to get off. And we're kind of doing that kind of shuffle you do to let people pass, and you're moving your shit around. And and we turn towards each other as we're shuffling around and stuff. And I'm looking at him in the face, and he's looking at me in the face. And there's like a pause, and then he's like, Q, right? And I'm like, Andy. And he's like, I thought that was you. I was like, I saw the same thing, mate. It was just sort of like, how you doing? Oh, fine. And we had like a brief sort of catch up. And then the train kind of cleared up a bit because there was a major stop, and we finally got some seats after standing for like, I don't know how long, maybe an hour. And yeah, I got to Liverpool, got picked up, stayed at my family in Liverpool's flat, which because I'd only planned to be there for 2 days essentially, Friday, Saturday, and then come back on Sunday. I only had clothes for like 1 day. Like I had one change of clothes. So Thursday night, obviously I just had stuff to sleep in. And then the intention Friday, I just, chill, relax, go out to bed, come back. Saturday, similarly, something like that. And then Sunday, I'd be on my way back home. So I packed clothes for that amount of time. I came back last night. So when you consider that much, I had way less clothes than I what's the word for it? I had less clothes than was required, basically. And I basically had to go to the shops and buy pants at Primark, underpants, so that I can have fresh underpants. But literally, I had no other clothes. I was re-wearing t-shirts and all that kind of stuff. Man, I had a guy funk, going on. But yeah, generally, like, the stay ended up extending because of the fact that my family member up there, who's like my sister-in-law's brother, he's an amazing guy, by the way. He's such a good host. He basically was supposed to every now and then he invites me to come visit him and stuff like that, and he lives on his own up there, so it's nice when he gets company. We sit down, we watch some football, we chat, we have a drink here, we enjoy ourselves. And he basically said he was supposed to head back to my town from Liverpool, because he had to deliver something in the town, a car, right? And the car was broken down. So it was at a mechanic, and we couldn't get the car. Like the thing was, the car was supposed to be ready by Sunday. It wasn't. And then so I called. So he was like, "Bro, I know you were supposed to go back on Sunday. Let me just book you a train ticket." But then I called Alex. I spoke to her, and she's like, "Nah, just hang back, kick back with him, because he was saying." So I asked him, like, when do you think it's gonna be ready? And he's like, probably by Tuesday, So I said, you know what? Why not? Look, we'll just sort it out. Well, I'll stay back. Alex said it's fine, so no worries. And then Tuesday comes around, Tuesday morning, and he calls the mechanic, and the car's not ready, and I'm just like, oh, you gotta be kidding me!
No,
I'm stuck
typical.
here even longer. And then we ended up
wow.
Like, I was just like, I called Alex, I was like, babe, like, it's looking like we're not gonna be ready until like Thursday or something. And she was like, to be honest, like it's fine, like I've got everything under control at home, everything is fine. You can stay on as long as you want, as long as you get back home by Friday, because I need to go into the office on Friday. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I told him, he was like, yes, more time for us to hang out, So, there's Champions League on this week. So we were watching the football on Wednesday and all that kind of stuff. Those were the plans, at least. But then the car got fixed yesterday. Like, we got a call from the mechanic in the day, and the car was sorted and all that kind of stuff. And so we got in the car and drove back, I think, around when it rains. And actually, to be honest, now it was raining heavily yesterday as well. Like, we were coming back, and it was just pouring on the highway. Like, it was just rain everywhere. There were accidents. There was water everywhere. And we were flying on the road. I think we were doing like 60 or 80 or something. Like, it was. I don't think we hit 100. But we were in this Toyota because he drives this Toyota, and we were just flying on the road. It was like, honestly though, the ride was comfortable. Like, I did not realize just how comfortable his suspension was. I wanted to tell him, like, bro, like, your suspension is really nice in this car. Because he had a car before and the suspension was pretty shit. Like, I could feel everything on the ground. This one though, oof, it was gliding. It was so comfortable, and we made a little pit stop on the way, got some food, that kind of stuff. And yeah, it was a thing. It was a thing. It was a trip. I want to say highlights of the weekend were I got to have I ate British KFC, Liverpool British KFC, and it was actually not that bad. Whereas usually I say British KFC sucks. Liverpool KFC actually is not that bad. It's actually pretty decent. A bit saltier than I would like, and a bit crunchier than I'd like, but still not bad. Ate a crap ton of junk food, to be honest. I had burgers, I had Chinese, I think the only thing I didn't have was a kebab, which usually when I'm in Liverpool I have a kebab. I didn't have kebabs for whatever reason. We had a power outage while I was there. Ended up making friends with the neighbors during the power outage, so that was a thing.
Okay. Yeah, look at that.
The whole block was just out of power, just everywhere. Around us, we went out. I got wasted, puked all over the place. So that happened. I do not like drinking vodka. I should say vodka doesn't like me drinking it. So that was a thing. But I was taking good care of it. I puked. I got home, and I should say I got to my bro's flat, and I passed out on his bed actually. So like, yeah, so I just passed out. I was like, I am so bloody tired. And I think whenever I puked, that's how I feel. I don't know about the rest of you, but whenever I puke from alcohol, I just pass out. Like, I get tired. So generally speaking, it was a bit of that. Watching football, and I think watching football with lads who actually watch football is so much more fun than just watching it by yourself. And my sons don't tend to want to watch football with me. They'll, like, Ty wants to come and watch football, not because he wants to watch football. He wants to come and hang out with me, but then he gets bored. Xavi doesn't really care to watch football with me, but he wants to talk to me about the highlights. So, it's like, I don't really watch football with the boys, let's put it that way. But being there and being around my bro and his friends who watch football as well, and us like cheering on teams, and a ball almost going, and everyone's like, oh, that was so close. Like, that's nice. You're chatting, you're talking about politics, you're talking about life, you're talking about just general things that lads talk about. That is just, it's nothing like it. There's literally nothing like a like time like that, just guy time, chilling, chatting.
That is nice indeed. Definitely.
It's good. You have a drink in your hand, maybe some beers or something, and you just, so good. It's so good. So that part of Liverpool was refreshing. The only part of it for me that was I was looking forward to getting back home and being in my house, just being around my family
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff, you know. But yeah, it was a nice weekend. Will I do it again that long? Hell no.
Been there, done that.
Been there, done that. Yeah, definitely. But I want to just, preface before we move on to like your week and then oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Mrs. just bought me a smoothie. So before I move on to this, like your week and also gaming, I'll just preface by saying I did not game while I was in Liverpool. Like I played Pokemon once and that was it. So in the gaming section, I have nothing else to say. So
Yeah,
Raj,
but I'm glad in a way. I mean, you should it would be awkward a bit. I mean, well, granted though, if he was playing or people there were playing, maybe you had a little tournament of something. But
Yeah.
otherwise, you were there for visiting and having a good time, like human to human wise. So it's fine. Yeah, losing your voice when you're sharing your team or watching a sport kind of event, a football or a soccer game or whatever you like to watch, that is definitely, I've been there too. I've definitely been there too. It can be quite fun to do that, and especially also together with people. I think that's partly why I am playing in a band still. Because we have our lair, the boys' lair, which is the rehearsal studio, and there's like beer cans on the table, and it's if you come over once again, you'll definitely see it. But it's definitely one of the.
It's not a if, it's when I come over to Sweden once
when
again.
I gotta correct myself. When you come,
it is on the bucket list, bro. Like honestly,
yeah.
You understand my situation as to why I haven't traveled in a while, but
absolutely,
as soon as
I would say more or less everyone's situation right now. We've had a long COVID situation, and the economy for maybe a few people right now haven't been the greatest. I mean, that's how it is. That's definitely how it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As soon as I'm in travel mode again, Sweden is on the list.
Yeah, that sounds like a good one. But even so, yeah, talking about the boys then, as you may know, I played in this band, Capital 59. 3 out of 4, meaning everyone minus the guitarist, is also involved in another project. And we have been looking for another guitarist for that particular project.
Right.
And there was actually a guy that contacted our keyboard player, and we met him on Monday, minus the singer. So it was me, the keyboard player, and the bass player. And I knew from the start that, because I understood his, like, might say merits, what he has been doing before. And for example, he's playing in this big, like, Arrival project that goes worldwide, which is a pool of musicians playing like ABBA songs, all over the world. So he's a good guy. This is a good player.
When you say a rival project, are they competing against each other to see who does it the best?
That I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I know that there's a section that's like a European section of this music project, and that has been ongoing since '96. That's how long they have been doing it. Kind of interesting. Not everyone, of course, they change people, and then you have like a US pool of people as well. So I think that's how they do it. Might even be Asia. I'm not 100% sure, but I mean, he was like 2 weeks ago in Belgium, played for 15,000 people, so it's like that. Yeah, that's also amazing to hear, and still all these the ABBA contribute stuff is going really well after all these years. But even so, we played together with him, and as expected, he was really good. So he's on the team now as well. So we have 2 full bands. That's basically it. And afterwards we sat down and talked, and that's why I kind of I was smiling here behind the microphone when you described your situation with the boys watching sports and stuff, because it was one of those moments. We sat like almost an hour just talking and about everything. Because that's also the thing. I have to say that it's one thing that you might be a good player, so to speak, a good musician in this case, but it also has to work. It's so important with the social part. That has to be. It's more or less as important as the first part. so to say. Really, really, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that has been a thing in my week, you might say. You and I talked a bit about the variation here. We're going slowly into fall. Apparently, it's a bit colder, but the I guess the perk is that we get some like higher air, if that makes sense, less humid weather, and I kind of like that. So a nice day in late September or like beginning or mid October can be really, really nice. So that is pretty neat. There was one night I had a problem to sleep, and I was like waking up, and then it was really heavy rain. It was hitting hard. And so forth. So it's a bit back and forth there, but otherwise, or besides that, it's been quite a good week. Adam came along. When was that? What day was that? He was here for dinner. I went with him late evening before like a mall close to us. We passed it, you and I also, when we were driving back and forth. He wanted to buy a new cable, like for his Pontiac, his car, so he can just put his phone in, and because the last one was broken. So small things like that. But yeah, it's. I think it's. I should say. I know it's been a good week. It was also a pretty chill weekend because we didn't do anything with the band or bands. That is coming later on. And that's what it is. But this weekend, though, it's going to be fun because I was... I've been talking. That was fun, though. I got a call from a former colleague from Cremata, which is the oldest member, or the oldest former member. He's now 71 years old. And last year I went to his 70 years party, you might say, because... in like next weekend, not this weekend, but like I think it's on September 30, we're going to celebrate Johan, which is one of my former colleagues in the group. He's having his 60th birthday, so that's going to be nice. So he called me, and that was nice. We talked for an hour, and it's so fun, when you get a call from an old friend and colleague like that. It's like you just pick up from where you
left off.
Like, yeah, it's interesting. And he left the group in 99. Imagine. So it's like, okay, but that's cool. And then I had a lunch with another former colleague. It's been a lot of former Cremata stuff here. On when was that? That must have been late week here, or no, that was on Monday. Actually, Monday afternoon after we played with the guitarist.
Yeah.
And we had lunch. That was nice. Leif is his name, and I just got borrowed a frame drum from him. It's called bodran. Actually, they use it in Irish folk music, like style of drum. Because on Sunday, I might have mentioned this. I'm gonna play together with a woman. She is a Same, which is one of the origin native people here in Sweden, you might say, up north, from far up north. And they have this tradition telling stories in a kind of musical way. It's not like singing, but it reminds a bit about what you might hear if you think about like Native American Indians. And so I will play with her at a restaurant here in Stockholm, apparently, on Sunday evening, because they are celebrating their like national day, something like that. So it's going to be a lot of Same, both art and of course also food. So we're going to eat reindeer and like a bard. Yeah, in a way. Yes, Daniel, that is, it's a bit like that, because they have this... it's an old tradition. It goes back hundreds and hundreds of years, of course, away, also before the written word, you might say, because you were apparently how do you say? Delivering like knowledge and stories, apparently that way, the spoken word, through song, through the word overall, talking, and of course also this yoik, Jojk, yoik. That's how it's pronounced, and so it's a bit like, it can be a bit magical too. It's like almost like a chant, almost like that as well, quite meditative in a way. So yeah. Cool stuff.
Hearing you talk about that, it reminded me of that show that we used to watch, that series, The Northman. It's reminding me of that. It's really good. Really good series, by the way. But yeah.
Oh yeah, fun. I wish there was more content there. I
Yes,
would watch it without blinking. I really had a good time, a fun time watching it.
definitely.
Northman. Yeah, it was so funny. And
Uh,
also it was a Norwegian
yes.
Viking comedy
Mm-hmm.
series. It's still out there on Netflix, The Northman or Northman.
The Northman, yeah.
Um,
It's so
Northman.
funny.
Yeah, and for me also, I mean, I have an accent speaking English apparently since I'm Swedish,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe not that much that some have or when they speak. But when I hear them, like, and I think they do it on purpose as well,
Mm-hmm.
since they are from Norway, they are
Mm-hmm.
Norwegian,
Mm-hmm.
and then when they talk English, it sounds like this.
Definitely.
We're going on a raid, but you can come. You have to be here and protect the village. That's
Yes.
like, yeah,
That is essentially a Norseman, man. It is so
yeah.
hilarious the way it's presented. But you know,
Oh,
and you and
okay.
I
Now I
we
have you heard a few songs of bars. Yeah, cool. That sounds great. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that. Yeah. I
Yeah,
have a
like
few.
this is a like I remember when we first found this series. It was, and to be honest, I don't actually think I've seen the latest season because I'm
Oh, you
seeing
haven't? Oh,
I
then you
think
have a
I've seen
treat.
season 1 and 2, but I missed 3. So I think I have
Ah,
one season I can go back and watch, which would be really, really good, to be honest.
yes,
Um,
yes. You have to do that.
so it's such a good watch. The characters are hilarious. The writing is
Yes, they
good.
are.
The build up is good. To be honest, if I go back to it, I may end up rewatching it from the beginning. To be honest,
Why not? I
just to
mean,
get you know, the feel of it and all that kind of stuff. But yeah,
yeah.
it is a really, really, really good watch, and
Mm,
just a grand old time.
indeed.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind
Well,
of it.
yeah, that's kind of it, and that's my week more or less. I think
Hmm.
we can go and move on into other stuff. And
Yeah, definitely.
apparently, if that's the gaming session,
Hmm.
as you said, I understand you haven't been playing much or
Hmm.
anything. I guess. Have you been playing some eFootball? No, not even that.
I turned on eFootball once during the weekend just to show someone it on my. So one of so one of my bros sort of friend's son was over at his because we were helping him with, like, you know, getting ready for school and stuff like that. And so he was over there with his dad, and we were just sort
Mm,
of like just chatting, and he was telling me that he, you know, he wants to get a laptop for school, but you know, he plays on an Xbox, but he plans to get a PC and play on that instead. You know, when he does play, you know, when he's not studying or whatever have you.
mm,
And I had my laptop on me, so I just showed him, this is what it looks like, and eFootball was one of the games that was installed, so I just loaded it up and showed him what it looked like, and he was like, "Oh, that's nice." And then that was it. So like I booted it up essentially for like
mm.
a few minutes, and then turned it back off again, and that was it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it was
At least
mainly, sorry.
no, you showed how it can look like. It's
Exactly,
like,
exactly. You know, because I was saying to him, like, if he's getting a laptop for school, he's probably not gonna want to get something. Excuse me, that's gaming related. At least I wouldn't. I think he should probably get like a lighter laptop, like an ultrabook or something thin and light and easy to maneuver with. My laptop is a bit chunkier because it's got a proper GPU in it and stuff like that.
yeah.
But if
Yeah.
he's planning to get something that he can use for both purposes, then he'd probably want to get something similar to mine. But then keeping in mind he's gonna have to lug around a heavy laptop with him.
Mm.
So generally speaking, I don't know what he's gonna decide when he decides what he's getting, but yeah, I just showed him what it was like, and you know, he was like, you know, that looks good, you know. So
Yeah. First impression, kind of.
yes,
Yeah.
definitely. But
Yeah.
you were playing something this week, haven't you?
I have. I have actually gotten into, you might say, two games that I played before.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, One is a free-to-play FPS game that is called Shatterline, and I
Mm-hmm.
have covered this game before. I played it before. If I'm not mistaken, I hope I'm not saying this wrong now. I think it's developed by a Ukrainian studio, and I think you understand what that means. They are having a hard time in many ways, but
Mm-hmm.
it went into early access. I think it was it last year.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short,
Mm-hmm.
it had like a good, okay, the game is coming out. It's it's a decent shooter. It has some good PvE actually, even though they changed the PvE quite some, made it a bit more in depth, and the grind can be quite tedious in the game. Surprise, surprise. And some people didn't really like that. I know that was one thing that shied away players, like some left. And also initially, I know they had problems with cheaters, and I'm not sure if they were able to do enough to protect the game, if that makes sense. So the short saying is that when the game, like I think that was like September, October 2022, they had maybe 18,000 players something, which is a good start if you think about like like a smaller title, like an indie studio FPS title. And then it dropped pretty fast, and
Wow.
yeah, it did. And now I think we're around under 1K, and I think like 700 online a day, and maybe on average like 300-400 people playing. So it's a big kind of going down. So they did a big update, R78 it's called, and they definitely improved parts of the game. They added more content both into PvE and PvP. So I wanted to try that out, and I did. There's a video on my channel about it. And the question that I simply put out there is, do you think that this will be enough to actually attract more players? Maybe both some new, but also definitely old players coming back to the game. I say what I think. I think it's going to be hard, and that's for many reasons. I think it's a bit too late to a certain extent, and also the fact that there are now other games coming out competing more or less in the same field, and it's going to be really tough for them. That's my yeah, that's what I believe at least. So I don't know more what to say. I mean, apparently I don't play this game on a regular basis. I played it quite some when it was like even before early access, like beta. And I saw potential. I mean, sure, it's nothing like new to the table in the genre. It's a bit generic, to be honest. But even so, a game like that can also be entertaining from time to time. And so that's that. I also played and I also streamed that yesterday, a classic in the genre, which is Titanfall 2.
Ooh.
You see, the game has been more or less broken on PC for quite some time, especially when it comes to multiplayer and everything. But I'm not sure if it's Respawn Entertainment themselves or if it's EA that has been taking care of it. And
Always
now,
blame EA. Always blame
yeah,
EA.
yeah. And now, and most likely, and now the game is actually doing well, and it's starting to get good numbers again. And I really liked Titanfall and Titanfall 2. I think also it's a really good campaign, a fun campaign to play. And the problem though is I have both Titanfall games on my old account mentioned on EA when it comes to the old Origin, and I can't retrieve that shit. So I went onto Steam. There has been an like an offer, you might say, or discount. I only pay like $3
Wow.
for Titanfall 2. Yeah, and I think it's still the price actually as we're speaking, which is like nothing for such a solid I would say AAA game. But as you know, EA, and this is still something I don't understand, they made a huge mistake back in the days when it was released.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you remember this. They released it between the release of a new like Activision Call of Duty game and their own like no, it was Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Call of Duty. And then after that, EA released a new Battlefield game. And in between, they released Titanfall 2.
Yeah.
Hello? Like, it literally not killed off the game, but it really hurt the game a lot. And it didn't really get the attention, recognition, and the player base, I would say, and the status that it was definitely worth. But with that said, it's nice to see that the game is actually getting some kind of bit of a revival now, and it's good stuff. Yeah. So for me, it's like I've had a really good time playing it. A lot of maybe younger players don't realize that Titanfall or Respawn Studios are apparently behind Apex Legends, and a lot of things you might experience if you play Apex Legends are from Titanfall, like weapons, movement, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's cool. I see now the thoughts on Nintendo Direct and State of Play. I don't have so much to say about that because I am so PC oriented, and I don't
Uh,
really.
I guess I can probably add to that one since I did actually
Yes,
watch
please.
both of those press conferences.
Sure.
With regards to the Nintendo Direct, I thought it was quite underwhelming. I didn't see anything in the direct. I think there was one game in the whole direct that I was like, oh, this actually looks like something I might be interested in. And I think everything else, it just wasn't anything that I wanted, you know. I feel like a lot of these directs and stuff like that, I don't
Yeah.
know who they're made for. I think that's the thing. Because I think you see,
Mm.
just before Nintendo does the direct, a lot of the times people start speculating as to what the direct is going to be about. And when you look at the list that people make, you know, like the stuff that people are interested in, you know, that kind, and you think, oh, like Nintendo must see these, right? They must see like you know all these things that people are posting online and like what they're keen on and all that kind of stuff. They must think the next time they do a direct, or maybe the next other time after this time, this is what people want. You know, like for example, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker is one of the games that I myself and a lot of people have been like, when are they gonna like re-release it? Because it was originally on the Wii U, and the Wii U was crap, so essentially not a lot of people played that. So having it on the Switch would be nice, you know, having it released on there. You don't see that. The games that they talked about, you know, games that honestly, I don't think I didn't hear anyone get hyped for any of these games that was showed up at this direct. There were a lot of indies at the
Yeah.
direct. And this is no offense to indies, like there are a lot of really good indie developers out there and all that kind of stuff, but there are very few indies that get me hyped. You know, a few indie JRPGs get me hype on occasion, but a lot of these games either we knew about before this direct, or they just weren't anything that I was just like, oh my god, this is amazing. You know, it was like updates to games that already existed. There were quite a lot of updates to games that already existed.
Yeah.
You know, so there was like a Tomb Raider remaster, which I didn't care for. There was updates for Among Us. There was stuff about Mario Kart and you know, what do you call this thing again? I think it was a 3D Mario kind of thing, a Mario RPG kind of thing.
Mhm.
Remake, you know, but again, none of it was like, well, yay, this is amazing. I want this game. I can't wait. No, it was just sort of like, I wasted an hour staring at the screen. So,
Right. Yeah.
and I think with PlayStation wasn't any better. Like, you know, PlayStation State of Play was not much better. And I say not much better because there was, I think, maybe one game or two games that I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm not mad at that, you know? So their last State of Play, I watched it similar to Nintendo's, and I was just kind of underwhelmed watching it, just waiting for it to end, hoping that they would announce something that, because I think the thing for me with regards to PlayStation and their State of Plays is that the PS5 hasn't justified its price tag or its existence yet to me. Like, I think the PS5 is a glorified PlayStation 4 Pro. You know, like it's so essentially it plays everything the PS4 plays, but a little bit better. But it doesn't really have a lot of games that you can only play on PS5, if you know what I mean. So if there aren't a lot of games that you can only play on PS5, it kind of makes it to a sense like, if you still have a PS4 Pro, why do you need a PS5? You know? And that's kind of how I felt about it. I was just like, there are not a lot of games that's out for this platform that I see myself needing so badly to have a PS5 for. And I think before the PS5 was released, it was just sort of a thing that that they spoke so highly about how all the things that you can do on it and all this sort of stuff. And how certain games will only be able to run on the PS5 because of you know, certain features and all that kind of stuff. And then and it comes out and it's like, meh, you know, it's like, it's like these games run on the PC, you know, like, and especially I have a gaming PC. I've got you know, I've got pretty much every console out there, so I've got options to play pretty much whatever I want to play, and it did not have any it didn't give me any confidence in it, you know. I was just sort of like, Okay, cool. So like the games they spoke about, they had this game called Baby Steps, which is an indie game, and yep, nothing to get me hyped about. There was a Ghostbusters game for VR. I don't play PlayStation VR. There were actually like I think 2 or 3 VR games that showed off, and again, not really hyped for that. They showed off Avatar, Frontier, Pandora. That looks interesting. But obviously we've seen that already, you know. So we just saw a bit more of the game. So that actually did have me a bit. I was like, ooh, I want to see more of this game. But then again, as I said, like we've seen it already. So there was nothing new, really, outside of seeing new gameplay. Ghost Runner 2, again, another game that is pretty cool, but we knew about already and saw already. They showed off like some new cases for the PS5. They showed off a little bit of Spider-Man 2, which we've seen quite a lot of already, and I don't think I want to see any more. There was DLC for Tales of Arise, which again, I like Tales of Arise, but that's been out for a while, and DLC is not something I think you should. I don't think you need to have a whole trade show to talk about DLC. Like, let me just see that on the internet, like on a website like mine or something. You know, like our website is the place you find that kind of stuff. And then you have like a bunch of like free to play games like Honkai, Star Rail, and Foam Star. Those again, not my cup of tea. Not really the games I play, so they can stay right where they are. And of course, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth had a new trailer, which looked pretty cool, but again, knew about it already, so it was like, meh. Generally, I think PlayStation had more stuff to show off that I was interested in. So if I count the games that won the PlayStation Showcase that I was interested in, there would be, Cyberpunk is one, so there's that one game. Final Fantasy 2, Tales of Arise is 3, Spider-Man is 4, Ghost Runner is 5, and Avatar is 6. So there were 6 games during that showcase that I was actually keen on. The rest of the games I had no interest in, absolutely none. For Nintendo, it was just like one. I think the only game that I was interested in was Saga Emerald Beyond. I think everything else that they showed off, I was just kind of like, these are either remakes or stuff that I just don't care about, you know, and maybe along the line I will care about some of them, like because obviously they showed off Eden Chronicles, but again, like who knows when that game is gonna come out anyway? So I'm not getting hyped for that. It's like whatever happens, that happens. But yeah, Nintendo's kind of screwed the pooch. I don't think they.
Yeah, okay. I hear you. The bottom line right there.
They sucked. Their press conference sucked, and PlayStation weren't too far behind. Yeah, I'm not ready. So yeah, that's my opinion on those things. Hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, exactly. Well, with that said, I think that's the conclusion for now, at least. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I hear you. Yeah, let's talk a bit about what we have been watching.
Yes, definitely.
If we have been watching, have we been watching?
I have been watching. Yeah, so I know you've been watching and I've been watching. So, but the thing though, there's a thing. What you've been watching, I've watched already. What I've been watching, you've not watched. So I'm thinking, well, how do you want to do this? Do you think we do yours second or first?
Okay, maybe we should get over with, like, do this first. And I'm referring to what I have been watching that you have already been watching.
Okay, let's go for it.
That I am watching that you have already been watching. Yeah, that was correct. Okay, we're talking we're talking about the live series when it comes to One Piece.
Yes.
And I have watched a few episodes. I think it's like 3, 4, something like that. So I'm in.
Yes.
And this confuses me a bit. I am a bit confused. I don't really know what to think.
Tell me more.
It's like, yeah, it's like I sat down and I was like thinking, who is this series for? Like the targeted audience? Is it what I skip gender, but if we're talking age to start with, is it like an adult audience or is it more like younger people? Or I'm not really sure. I mean, apparently, as expected, I know that about One Piece and similar, that of course there's violence and it can be quite brutal from time to time. So it's all good. But it's quite of a simple set. I mean, it's this seafaring world and the seafaring world and the young pirate captain, and he wants to attain the title of Pirate King, and it's this mythical treasure, the One Piece, and that's quite easy to understand and follow. And there's quite a few guys that wants the same, apparently. And it's like this light action or humor with everything, and I kind of like it. I mean, I want to say first off, I kind of like it. I mean, I have been continued to watch episodes, even though I fell asleep sometimes. But I can't. I mean, I haven't seen the original anime, but I can imagine, and I can without having. I haven't seen it, but I can imagine that it's most likely an even better experience watching that.
Way better.
Because I mean, I watch some anime, don't get me wrong, even though I'm an older man by now, but I have, and I still do once in a while. And I mean, I know how it is when you get all that action and all these moments and all these characters, and because they come from left and right here, and they are very different, and different clothes and backgrounds and whatever have you, but when they start to slam and everything gets together, and you have these like those kind of moments when they stretch their mouths and scream in the anime or whatever, if they do, I don't know. But all that you can't get that in a live action like that. It doesn't get to that moment, so it's a bit more like a matinee kind of Pirates of the Caribbean, but not that. but I hope I don't sound too. I don't want to sound like negative, but at the same time, I am a bit confused. I have a hard time to put myself also in. I don't know. It bothers me. It's a bit like, what am I watching here? But I will. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I see that, Mr. AR. It's amazing. Maybe I should watch it a bit now, especially since I'm in the live series. The anime just pulls you in. I'm an addict now, and I can understand that. I might actually get to there as well. But it's I don't know. It's not like. I guess it's not really my cup of tea straight off the bat, but I can enjoy it, and I think they've done a good job. Apparently, it's a great production and all that stuff, and I think the casting is pretty sweet as well. It kind of makes sense, even though if you have been watching the anime, I guess you might have some pointers or opinions. Apparently, that's usually the case. It's like when you discuss Star Wars and Ahsoka also, and people have, it's always like that, and will always be. And I see it has 8.5 on IMDb.
It's pretty high.
It's pretty high. For me, it's not that high. I might maybe give it a 7 or something. 6.5, 7. I can give it a 7.
Yeah.
But I think that's more fair. I think 8.5 for me sounds a bit too high, if I'm going to be honest. It's almost like Starfield, a bit overrated.
Oh, the you've heard it here first. Roger's opinion: One Piece of live action is like Starfield, overrated.
Oh, I said it. I'm sorry. I don't want to be. It's one of those Thursdays. I'm sorry. No. But again, One Piece, it gets a thumbs up for me. I think this is definitely something that it can be worth watching, and I will continue to watch because I'm curious to see what will happen and how it develops and everything. And I start to now into whatever I said. I think episode 4. Get to know the characters more, and I kind of. Yeah, I start to like them, if that makes sense. And I think that's an important thing also, because then you get more into the series and you want to watch more, apparently. Yeah. But again, I can totally understand. And I had a bit of your sayings in the back of my head also when I was watching. And I just was thinking, oh, this must be quite different if you watch it when it comes to the original anime series. So, well, that's that. I don't have so much more to say, actually. I will maybe come back and say something more when I watch the whole series. I don't know. But yeah, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I do, actually. And I will have to strongly agree. It does have that. I like the fact that you mentioned Pirates of the Caribbean, because I did get that kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean, but not kind of vibe when I watched the live action. but at the same time, despite the fact that I love the One Piece anime, I was a bit underwhelmed by the live action, and again, for me, it's like if you've never watched the anime and you have no intent to watch the anime, the live action is a decent substitute per se,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the anime, and I think Mr. AR mentions in the chat like watching the anime, and it's different in a sense. Like once you get, there's a point in the anime. And I've said this to everyone who have ever like recommended One Piece to. There's a point where you get to in the anime or in the manga where it hooks you, and
Yeah.
you just have to find what happens next, and you have to finish. But the way in which the story is written, it's a light-hearted sort of like, it has a bit of a comedy to it, but the
Yeah.
topics that they touch on are deeper topics about about just real life sort of like issues that exist in the world, things like racism, things like poverty, things like just general things that people go through on a day to day, just family life, debt,
Yeah.
all this sort of stuff. But the way, because One Piece has a very comical sort of like feel to it, it's easier to swallow that pill. And because the characters are larger than life, it's easier to sort of like empathize and understand the characters, because you don't watch the characters and think, oh, well, this character looks like me or is like me. No one in One Piece is like you. It's just, they're just characters.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing about it as well, is that they're really, really like the characters are so three-dimensional in the way they're developed and all that kind of stuff. And no character in like, and then this is something like, again, with the anime and the manga, is that every character is so well developed. Every character has a backstory, where they came from. They have an island they came from. They have a family. They've had a past. They have everything. And no villain is just a villain. In One Piece, there are no villains. It's just morally ambiguous people. Everyone is after something, and they are the way they are because of circumstances. So even like, for example, like a character you'll meet very early in the live action, he's a pirate who's like a clown, and his name is called Buggy the Clown.
Yeah, exactly.
And
yeah. That guy.
When you meet Buggy early in the anime, it's like, or in this live action, he's just this comical guy who's just evil and wants things and is mean to people and all that kind of stuff. But then when you further down the story, like in where I'm at in the manga and the anime, Buggy is not just this comical crazy clown guy. Like there is something to his madness. Stuff has happened in his life. This guy has been through some stuff, like you can empathize with him to a certain extent, to like, and that's the thing that I love about One Piece, is like having a character who's just like, he's not just like a cartoon villain, he's a guy. It's kind of like, like that movie Joker, like how
yeah.
And no, I'm not gonna spoil anything. I'm not spoiling anything about Buggy or anyone. What I'm saying about Buggy applies to every single character in One Piece. So saying that in the sense like about Buggy, it doesn't matter who I mentioned about. Every character has a backstory, and the author of One Piece, he spends time developing those backstories. So as the story goes on, you get to learn about these characters and stuff like that. But that's the back to what the example I was giving. It's like the movie Joker. It's like, it's not just he's just a bad guy. This guy has been through some crap, and then life just keeps getting harder and harder, and things just keep getting worse and worse for him, and eventually he just snaps.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of a thing where it's like, that's the reason why a lot of people like that movie so much, because of the fact it was like, you could see how a regular person could go to that stage.
It shows the human side of things, and apparently that we all have both light and darkness within ourselves and stuff like that. And it's true. And I think, and I can understand though that they have to make certain decisions when making also, again, back to the live action, because you can't, if you're going to show and talk about everything, it's going to be like, it's going to take many episodes and many seasons probably if you're going to go in depth. I can understand that. But I also hear what you say, and that would, of course, have been good to get a bit more maybe regarding him or Buffy or that character.
Oh, that happens way down in the story though. So like the thing, and this is
Yeah,
why I say
okay.
the anime
Yeah,
is a
okay.
whole lot better, because One Piece as an anime has over, I think, 1,000 something episodes, right? So if they do the live action
shit.
to the,
Okay.
it's a lot. It's a lot. So if they do the live action and continue it in a similar trend to the anime, you're going to be watching a lot. Granted, the live action condenses a lot of stuff from the anime, so they put a lot of things kind of sort of blends together. So some things,
Yeah.
you know, it's like they connect certain stories into one, and they shorten certain aspects of certain things and so forth. So whereas in the anime, they develop it even more, and you spend a lot of time with these characters, and I think that makes you care about them even more as well. But if I could recommend to anyone, I think if you are looking for good media, something to watch, I can't not stress on how good the One Piece anime is. I honestly think it is above almost everything else out there. And if you like the live action and you want something, like, you want to get to know these characters, you want to understand, like, I do recommend watching the anime. But go in knowing that the anime is a lot different, and you're gonna have to start from the beginning. Like, you're not gonna be able to like start the live action, get to a point, and then continue. No, you have to start the anime from the beginning, because a lot of things are a little bit different in the anime. The other thing too as well is I think the anime is a lot more dark in some ways, I feel like. And I think the character development and stuff in any anime different. It's a bit more.
But I can understand. It's like when think about, it's maybe not a good example, but Lord of the Rings. I mean, if you read the books, I've read like all books, like Silmarillion, everything. And of course, what I think Peter Jackson did a great job. I think it really worked out well. He also used actors at that point of time that wasn't that like well known or famous for that sake, which was a good move. But again, you have to make choices when you put something on the white screen, like you have to deal with certain things, and you can't, like, again, it's also a thing like time wise and budget wise, I guess, as well. So I can understand that they also have to do something, or these kind of decisions, and left certain details out and maybe emphasize a bit more on certain others, and that might appeal to some, and some might feel that why didn't you bring that into the story? So I think that's the thing. I think it's interesting to say. I mean, you guys know, but I was just reading that One Piece. It's a manga. Apparently, it started in a paper called Shukan Shonen Jump in 1997. So it's quite old.
It is.
And as you said, I mean, there's over 100 volumes that has been released in Japan. The 66 first of them was translated to my language, to Swedish, before they took it down, actually, because it didn't sell that well here at that point of time. So the last volume here came out in 2013.
Wow.
So yeah, it's kind of cool. I just wanted to check that because, I know that it's old, but I didn't know it was all the way back to 1997.
It is quite a classic, and to be honest, the story is just about past the I think it's just about above, like, over the halfway point in the actual manga. And yeah, like, me personally, with regards to my consumption of One Piece, I read the manga. So I don't watch the anime as much. My missus watches the anime, but I read the manga. And the reason I think too as well is when it comes to reading the manga, you get through so much content reading the manga alone. Like, I can read, when I sit down to read, I can read for like maybe hours on hand and get through hundreds of chapters. So I could sit down there before bed, or just laying on the couch and get through a couple hundred chapters just like that in an afternoon. Whereas an anime, you can't do that. For anime, you will be there 30 minutes per episode, plus the recaps at the beginning of each episode, plus the intro and outro music, unless you're skipping it. So you're there for a while, about 30 minutes. And that's great and all. Like, I enjoy the anime experience every now and then, but I think when it comes to, if you're interested in getting into One Piece and you want to catch up quickly, the manga is probably the quickest way to catch up. That being said, you can do the anime. Like, my missus is already on, I think, episode 70 something. Like, she's already like dived into it, you know, she got into it, and she's hooked. She's really feeling it and all that kind of stuff. And I'm happy. I'm happy that she's actually keen on it. Even my younger sister, who I've been recommending One Piece to her for years now, she started watching the live action, and
look at that now.
And she then started watching the anime as well. And so now she's keeping up with the series as well.
Yeah, but that's cool. I can imagine that. I was just about to say that. Most likely some people, at least the percentage of those that are watching the live series now on Netflix, because it's, you know, people find something, it's there in front of their eyes and they don't really know what it is. But then when they find out, they might check it out, you know. Maybe the manga may be the anime. And I see you've been watching, what is it, episode 73 over 3 days.
Yes.
Oh my God. That's some binge watching.
That is some serious binge. I mean, we are simply binge, but that's simply a lot.
True. Oh man. Well. That's that. I guess. As said, I just wrapped the One Piece stuff up. I will continue to watch and maybe watch a bit of the anime as well. I at least want to see. I at least want to make a bit of a comparison. To be fair, you know, and to understand. But we'll see. We'll talk more about that some other time.
I am so excited of the idea of you watching the anime. To me, if you watch the anime, Raj, oh my God, like. The conversations we will have about the you know, the same way we were speaking about like just having these sort of deeper conversations with, you know, with the blokes while having a beer. Look, we have those with One Piece. You know, we sit there and we're talking about, so what do you think about this character? Oh, I'm telling you, man, he's got to be this other guy, right? They've got to be related or something. He's got to be like literally. We sit there for like hours, and then whenever stuff gets revealed, it's like, holy shit, I didn't see that coming. That made no sense, and it's so amazing. At the same time, it's like brilliant, well done, you know. So
yeah. But we were talking about that also before with other things.
Yes,
you know,
we have
grumpy old two men sitting on sitting out there like smoking the pipe, and I will be like the super elder though. But yeah, sure. Hopefully, I can still speak, and we will.
Definitely, super elder. You see?
Oh my God. Well.
Now he mentions that that Xbox is having their Tokyo Game Show at the moment while we are live on the podcast. So shout out to Xbox and their TGS game show. We will watch that after. Well, I should say I'll probably watch it after the show after we finish the podcast. So which we're gonna wrap up just after I mention what I've been watching. So yeah, and I'll just do mine briefly. There's not much to say about it really. It's an anime called I Am Actually the Strongest, or Jitsu wa Ori Sakayu Deshita ? Right? So my Japanese is terrible. You guys know that.
It was pretty good.
You're just saying that because you're nice to me. The anime is a 6.5 on Manimalist. I would actually be willing to give it a solid 7. I think it's pretty funny and enjoyable to some extent. The main story is an isekai. The main character dies. He gets reincarnated into an anime world, into like a fantasy world basically. And in that world, he gets told he's gonna essentially the sort of like goddess who brought him back. She gave him the strongest power she could give in the world, but the people in that world only have the ability to grant you what's the word for it? They only have the ability to grant you to like scan people's power levels up to the number 78, right, or 70 something. So that's the highest. Whatever tools they use to scan your power level, it goes up to 70 something. Now his power level is 1,200. So sorry, 1,002. 1,002 is his power level. So no one in the world is even close to his power level. Everyone is 70 something and under, right? And what happens is he's born as a prince. Like his parents are the king and queen and all that kind of stuff. And essentially they scan his power level as a baby, but because the magic stone thing that's supposed to scan them only has the ability to scan up to 70 something, it scans it and it projects his name, his power level as 2, because at the end of it it's 1,002. It only gets the last 2 digits in the thing, not the first. So there's no way to represent it to let them know, oh, he's on a whole different level. So his parents think, oh my God, he's gonna shame the family. A prince at a power level of 2, like he's only gonna be able to cast magic to like make like a protective shield or something. He's horrible. Like, so they decide they're gonna just abandon him, right? Because so they're gonna leave him in the woods and something and whatever have you. And they abandon him in the woods. But remember, this guy was reborn, so he has common sense of an adult, and he start thinking of, okay, they say I could do some magic. I'm hungry. I'm a baby. I can't move. I can't talk. And he starts using his imagination, and he realizes, holy shit, he could do a lot of advanced things with just shield and magic. And he just keeps adapting it and trying new things, and he becomes really strong. And then he's rescued by this older guy who he's kind of related to, like an uncle or something like that. And he's taken in by that guy and his family and raised as their son. And it gets interesting from there. The main character himself, he's a bit of a shut-in. He likes to be in the house, sit by his computer, watch anime, play games, that kind of stuff. He doesn't really like going outside. He's afraid of being around people. But in this world where he's the most powerful creature ever, he somehow finds himself getting out there because he forms this really nice bond with some characters in there, and he wants to protect them and help them out and stuff like that. So
okay,
yeah. But then his adoptive parents, they want him to do things like go to school and stuff, and he does not like that. So, but he doesn't want to let them down, because he feels indebted to them. He's like, oh, they took such good care of me, and I love them. And it's a really good story. It's a really nice story so far. So I don't know how many episodes I'm in. Maybe like, I don't know. It's 12 episodes so far, it says, and according to Manimalist, I'm probably at episode 8 or something like that. This is on Crunchyroll, so if you want to watch it, it's the best place to watch this in Crunchyroll. I think the first 5 or 6 episodes are in English and the rest are in Japanese. So if you're gonna watch it, keep in mind you're gonna have to be reading some subs. But yeah, I am actually the strongest. Go check it out. That's about it for me. So with that, Raj, I think we've got to the end of the show, haven't we?
We have. We have. I don't know why I'm talking like that, but I do know, as you said, yeah, we are at the end of the show, and my coffee nerve is itching me on the side here of my left rib. So with that said, I need to get some coffee. Beautiful. Thank you very much for listening to me and Q here in That Beautiful Life podcast. As always, that's very much appreciated. I wish you guys a really, really good week. I hope you're going to have some good moments and enjoy life as much as you can. And as always, we try to also help a bit with that, like giving the good tips when it comes to gaming, what to play, maybe not to play as well. And that goes also for Tele. So with that said, have a beautiful one, and muffin and out.
Beautiful as always. That's the stuff of legend right there. So guys, thank you very much for listening to this episode of That Beautiful Life podcast. Appreciate all of you coming live. You guys are the MVPs. And those of you who listen in post and drop a comment, you're also the MVPs. And everyone else, you guys are awesome. We appreciate you guys as well. We always love feedback, always love hearing what we can do better, or what you enjoy, so we know to do more of and stuff like that in the podcast. So feel free to let us know that those sort of stuff. Feel free to share with us, in the comments and all that kind of stuff during and after the podcast as you see fit. As always, you can find Roger streaming. He streams on a Tuesday and a Sunday. That's correct, Roger?
Correct. Yes.
Correct. So he streams a lot more than I do, and I should pretty much get back to streaming. But I've got a couple of things that's kind of eliminate that. I think Nalu's one person that's been messaging me to ask. One of the people who've been hitting me up and saying, "Hey Q, when are you going to be back on the streams?" So to Nalu and everyone else who's been asking, I'm going to try to see if I can stream this week. Not today, maybe tomorrow. I'll probably see if I can hop on a stream, and hopefully we can hang out in there and play some games together and have a chat and all that kind of stuff. And yes, I have been playing Trails, not as much as I should be though, but I will be. I did play a bit off stream, so yeah. Anyway, with that being said, thank you very much for all of you who listen to the episode of That Beautiful Life podcast. As always, you can find me at LP Guardian. That's Guardians out to you. You can find Roger at 40 Splish Splash. That's the number 40 SPLASH. You can find us also at Simply Binge or at Simply Binge UK pretty much everywhere else. And as always, we wouldn't like you guys to miss on the episodes of That Beautiful Life podcast. Many beautiful people like you subscribe to this podcast on Castbox, Acast, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Google Podcasts, simplybinge.com, and elsewhere. And what's the company like that we're getting for free? So as always, guys, this has been Cued. Pleasure. That's a wrap. That is the episode.